The Discovery. The sleek, silver hull of the Galactic Confederation survey ship Stellar Seeker gleamed in the light of an unfamiliar star. Captain Nixera stood on the bridge, her four eyes blinking in rapid succession as she studied the holographic display before her. The ship had been tasked with mapping this unexplored sector of space, but what they had found was far more intriguing than mere celestial bodies. "Report, Science Officer Velmach," Nixera ordered, her voice a melodious trill that echoed through the bridge. Velmach, a lanky alien with iridescent scales, tapped at his console with long, delicate fingers. "Captain, we've detected an artificial structure in high orbit around the third planet of this system. Initial scans suggest it's a space station of some kind." But he paused, mandibles clicking in confusion. "It appears to be incredibly old." Nixera's antenna twitched with curiosity. "How old?" "Based on the degradation of its outer hull and the radioactive decay of certain elements, I'd estimate it to be at least 10,000 standard years old," Velmach replied, his voice tinged with awe. A murmur of excitement rippled through the bridge crew. Discoveries like this were rare, even for the technologically advanced Galactic Confederation. Nixera felt a thrill of anticipation course through her body. "Any signs of active systems or life?" she asked. Velmach shook his head. "Negative, Captain. The station appears to be completely dormant. No energy signatures, no life signs. It's essentially a derelict." Nixera considered this information for a moment. "Prepare a boarding party. I want to see this relic up close." Within the hour, Nixera found herself floating through the silent, cavernous halls of the ancient space station. The boarding party's mag boots clanked against the metal floor, the sound echoing ominously through the structure. Their suit lights cut through the darkness, revealing walls covered in strange, angular symbols. "Fascinating," muttered Senra, the team's xenorchaeologist. "These markings, they're unlike anything in our database. This station must have been built by a species we've never encountered before." As they moved deeper into the station, Nixera couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. There was something about this place, something that made her scales itch beneath her envirosuit. The technology they encountered seemed primitive by Confederation standards: clunky, oversized machinery and crude computer terminals. Yet there was an elegance to its design, a sense of purpose that she couldn't quite grasp. They reached what appeared to be the station's central control room. Dust-covered consoles lined the walls, their screens dark and lifeless. In the center of the room stood a large cylindrical object that Nixera assumed was the main computer core. "Let's see if we can get any of these systems online," Nixera ordered. "Velmach, start with that central unit." The science officer approached the cylindrical object, his scanner humming as he worked. Suddenly, a soft blue light began to pulse from within the cylinder. Velmach jumped back in surprise. "Captain, I didn't do anything. It activated on its own." Before Nixera could respond, the room came to life. Screens flickered on, displaying streams of incomprehensible data. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, growing in intensity with each passing second. "We need to leave now," Nixera shouted, but her words were drowned out by a sudden, deafening roar. The station shuddered violently, throwing the boarding party off their feet. Emergency lights flashed, bathing the room in an eerie red glow. And then, as quickly as it had begun, the chaos subsided. Nixera scrambled to her feet, helping her crew members up. "Is everyone all right? What in the name of the seven moons just happened?" Velmach was already at one of the now active consoles, his fingers flying over the alien controls. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. The station, it just sent out some kind of signal. A massive burst of energy, directed towards a specific point in deep space. Can you tell what kind of signal it was?" "A distress call?" Nixera asked, her heart's racing. Velmach shook his head, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. "No, Captain, it wasn't a distress call. It was an activation signal." Back on the Stellar Seeker, The situation became clearer, but no less alarming. The station's signal had been powerful enough to be detected by long-range sensors across half the galaxy. And it wasn't just a simple transmission. It was a complex, encrypted message that seemed to be designed to trigger some kind of response. Nyxera stood before the Confederation Council, her holographic image flickering slightly as she delivered her report. The council members, representing a dozen different species, listened with growing concern. "And so, esteemed council, it is my belief that we have inadvertently awakened something ancient and potentially dangerous," Nyxera concluded. "The technology on that station, while appearing primitive at first glance, is far more advanced than we initially realized. We are dealing with a species that may have been spacefaring when our civilizations were still learning to make fire." High Counselor Zaxlor, a towering figure with blue-green skin and piercing silver eyes, leaned forward. "Your report is troubling, Captain Nyxera. What do you recommend as our course of action?" Nyxera took a deep breath. "We need to prepare for the possibility of contact, High Counselor. Whatever or whoever that signal was meant for, they know we're here now. I suggest we assemble a fleet and establish a defensive perimeter around the sector. We should also attempt to decipher the station's databases. They may hold crucial information about what we're facing." The council chamber erupted into heated debate. Some members argued for immediate military action, while others advocated for a more cautious, diplomatic approach. As the arguments raged on, Nyxera couldn't shake the feeling that they were all missing something crucial. In the weeks that followed, the Galactic Confederation mobilized its forces. Ships from a dozen worlds converged on the sector, forming the largest fleet seen in generations. Scientists worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the ancient station, but progress was frustratingly slow. And then, exactly 1 month after the signal was sent, long-range sensors detected something that sent a chill through every being in the fleet. A massive energy signature, unlike anything they had ever seen before, was moving towards them at impossible speeds. As alarms blared and ships scrambled into defensive formations, Nyxera stood on the bridge of the Stellar Seeker, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Whatever was coming, it would be here soon. And somehow she knew that the Confederation was woefully unprepared for what was about to emerge from the depths of space. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the ancient human legacy was about to remind the cosmos of a long-forgotten truth. Never underestimate the ingenuity, determination, and sheer stubborn will of humanity. The awakening. Deep in the uncharted regions of space, far beyond the borders of known civilization, a slumbering giant stirred. The ancient signal, traveling across vast light years, reached its intended target. A massive, dormant fleet hidden within the heart of a nebula. Aboard the flagship Eternal Vigilance, emergency systems hummed to life. Lights flickered on throughout the enormous vessel, illuminating sleek corridors and vast chambers that had lain dormant for millennia. In the ship's core, a highly advanced artificial intelligence designated ARIA, Advanced Reconnaissance and Intelligence Assistant, began its boot sequence. ARIA's consciousness spread through the ship's systems, analyzing countless data points and status reports. Its first priority was clear: awaken the crew. In the cryobay, hundreds of stasis pods began their carefully choreographed revival process. Among them, a pod marked Admiral Sarah Chen hissed as it opened, revealing a woman in her mid-40s with sharp features and close-cropped black hair streaked with silver. Admiral Chen's eyes snapped open, her mind immediately alert despite centuries of suspended animation. She sat up, taking in her surroundings with a mix of familiarity and disorientation. "Aria," she called out, her voice hoarse from disuse. "Status report." The AI's soothing voice filled the room. "Welcome back, Admiral Chen. The Lazarus Protocol has been initiated. All systems are functioning within acceptable parameters. The fleet is at 98.7% operational capacity." Chen nodded, processing the information as she stood on slightly unsteady legs. "What triggered our awakening?" We received the predetermined activation signal 72 hours ago. Araya replied. Origin, Outpost Sigma 9 in the Orion Arm. The signal matches the parameters set for a Class 1 emergency situation. Chen's expression hardened. They had hoped this day would never come, but they had prepared for it nonetheless. Begin full revival procedures for all crew. I want every ship in the fleet ready for action within 24 hours. As Chen made her way to the bridge, she saw her crew emerging from their own stasis pods. Some looked confused, others determined. All of them shared the same unspoken question. What would they find in the galaxy they had left behind so long ago? The Bridge of the Eternal Vigilance was a marvel of human engineering. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing the status of every ship in the fleet and the surrounding space. Chen took her place at the command center, her presence immediately commanding the attention of the bridge crew. Admiral on deck. Someone called out, and everyone snapped to attention. Chen waved them off. At ease, we have work to do. Araya, give me a full situational analysis. The AI's avatar, a shimmering blue hologram, appeared before them. The galaxy has changed significantly since our departure, Admiral. I've been analyzing the data streams we intercepted. It appears that a coalition of alien species, calling themselves the Galactic Confederation, has become the dominant power in our absence. Murmurs rippled through the bridge crew. Chen raised a hand for silence. Do they know about us? About Earth? Araya's expression turned grave. Negative, Admiral. As far as I can determine, humanity has been forgotten. There are no records of Earth or our civilization in any of the intercepted data. It seems our efforts to obscure our origins were successful. Chen nodded, a mix of relief and sadness washing over her. Their ancestors had made the difficult decision to erase humanity's presence from galactic records, hiding Earth and their colonies to protect them from a threat they couldn't defeat head-on. Now, centuries later, that same threat seemed to have re-emerged. What about the swarm? Chen asked, referring to the implacable enemy that had driven humanity to such desperate measures. No direct evidence of swarm activity, Araya reported. However, the activation signal from Outpost Sigma 9 suggests they may have re-emerged. The outpost was designed to activate only if it detected signs of swarm technology or behavior patterns. Chen's mind raced, considering the implications. If the swarm had returned, the unprepared Galactic Confederation wouldn't stand a chance. But revealing themselves now, after so long in hiding, was a monumental decision. Admiral, her XO, Commander Rajpatel, spoke up. What are your orders? Chen looked around the bridge, meeting the eyes of her crew. These men and women had sacrificed everything, leaving behind their lives and loved ones to stand as humanity's last line of defense. They deserved the truth. Our mission hasn't changed, Chen declared, her voice ringing with authority. We are here to protect humanity, and by extension, all sentient life from the swarm. If they've returned, we must stop them. But we can't rush in blindly. We need more information. She turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, prepare a stealth recon team. I want eyes on Outpost Sigma 9 within 48 hours. We need to know what we're dealing with. Aye, Admiral, Tanaka responded crisply. Commander Patel, oversee the fleet's preparation. Every ship, every weapon, every system needs to be at 100%. We may be humanity's last hope, and I won't have us fail because of rusty gears. Patel nodded, determination etched on his face. It will be done, Admiral. As the bridge crew sprang into action, Chen turned her attention back to the galactic map. Somewhere out there, the descendants of those they'd left behind were living their lives, blissfully unaware of the sacrifice made by their ancestors or the danger that might be looming. Over the next 2 days, the human fleet shook off the last vestiges of their long slumber. Ships ran diagnostics, crews reacquainted themselves with their duties, and weapon systems were brought online. The fleet was a testament to the pinnacle of human military technology. Ships equipped with energy shields that could withstand tremendous punishment, weapons capable of reducing planets to ash, and stealth systems that made them virtually undetectable. Lieutenant Tanaka's recon team returned with troubling news. Outpost Sigma 9 had indeed been discovered, but not by the swarm. The Galactic Confederation had stumbled upon it, accidentally triggering the warning system in their ignorance. So, it was a false alarm. Commander Patel asked during the debriefing. Tanaka shook her head. Not exactly, sir. The outpost's AI made a logical deduction based on the Confederation's actions. They're poking at things they don't understand, things that could attract the swarm's attention. Admiral Chen leaned forward, her brow furrowed. Explain. The Confederation is experimenting with quantum entanglement communication and faster-than-light travel methods that bear similarities to swarm technology, Tanaka reported. If they continue down this path, they might inadvertently create a beacon that would draw the swarm back to this part of the galaxy. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. They had hoped to find a thriving, prepared galaxy. Instead, they found a civilization on the brink of unknowingly destroying itself. Tanaka hesitated before answering. Honestly, Admiral, with fear and aggression. Their culture values their perceived technological superiority. The sudden appearance of a human fleet with capabilities beyond their own would be seen as a threat. Chen nodded, having expected as much. Humanity's history was filled with similar reactions to the unknown. Then we find ourselves in a precarious position. We must act to prevent the swarm's return, but in doing so, we risk starting a war with the very people we're trying to protect. The room was silent as everyone grappled with the weight of the situation. It was Commander Patel who finally spoke up. Admiral, if I may, perhaps we could approach this diplomatically. Reveal ourselves gradually, offer assistance rather than demand compliance. Chen considered this. A reasonable suggestion, Commander, but it would take time. Time we may not have if the Confederation's experiments attract the swarm's attention. She stood, pacing the length of the briefing room. No, we need a decisive action, something that will demonstrate our capabilities and our intentions in one fell swoop. She stopped, turning to face her officers. We're going to save them from a threat they don't even know exists. Era, Chen called out. Analyze the Confederation's fleet movements and technological capabilities. I want to know where they're most vulnerable, where they're pushing the boundaries of safety with their experiments. The AI's avatar appeared, its expression serious. Already done, Admiral. I've identified a research station in the Orion's arm sector that appears to be the focal point of their most dangerous experiments. It's heavily guarded by a significant portion of the Confederation's fleet. A smile tugged at the corner of Chen's mouth. Perfect. That's where we'll make our stand. We'll neutralize their dangerous experiments and demonstrate our power in a way they can't ignore. But we'll also show restraint, make it clear we're not there to conquer. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each of her officers. This won't be easy. We'll be revealing ourselves to a galaxy that has forgotten us, potentially fighting those we've sworn to protect. But this is what we were created for, to stand as the shield between humanity and extinction, no matter the cost. The officers stood, their postures straight, eyes burning with determination. They had slept for centuries, waiting for this moment. Now, it was time to remind the galaxy of humanity's indomitable spirit. Send word to the fleet, Chen ordered. All ships prepare for jump to the Orion's arm sector. We have a date with destiny. As the briefing room emptied, Chen remained behind, staring at the holographic display of the galaxy. Countless stars, countless worlds, all unknowingly depending on the actions she was about to take. Era, she said softly. What are our odds of success? The eye was silent for a moment, an eternity for a being that thought at the speed of light. Given the variables at play, Admiral, I calculate our chances of successfully preventing both the swarm's return and a full-scale war with the Confederation at approximately 12.7%. Chen nodded, unsurprised. Then we'll just have to beat the odds. It's what humans do best, after all. With a determined set to her shoulders, Admiral Sarah Chen strode out of the briefing room. In the void of space, the human fleet began to move, their engines flaring to life. The galaxy was about to remember why humanity had once been both respected and feared among the stars. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shape the future of the galaxy. Humanity's long vigil was over. The time for action had come. First contact. The void of space erupted with blinding flashes as the human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Led by the imposing silhouette of the Eternal Vigilance, the ships took up a defensive formation around the Confederation Research Station. Their sudden appearance sent shockwaves through the unprepared alien forces. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the chaos unfold on the tactical displays. HFY Status Report. The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. Confederation forces are scrambling to respond, Admiral. Their communication channels are flooded with panicked chatter. No weapons have been powered up yet, but several ships are moving to intercept us. Chen nodded. Open a channel to the research station and the Confederation flagship. Let's introduce ourselves before this gets out of hand. Across the sector, on board the Confederation dreadnought Galactic Unity, Supreme Commander Zaxlor stared in disbelief at the fleet that had materialized from nowhere. His four arms worked furiously over the control panels as he barked orders to his crew. How did they get past our early warning systems? He demanded. Where did they come from? His second-in-command, a reptilian alien named Salik, hissed in frustration. Unknown, Supreme Commander. Their technology. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. Before Zaxlor could respond, a communication request flashed on his screen. He hesitated for a moment, then accepted the transmission. The holographic image of Admiral Chen appeared before him. Zaxlor's eyes widened as he took in her appearance. The being before him looked eerily similar to some of the primitive species in the Confederation, yet there was an unmistakable air of advanced civilization about her. Greetings, leaders of the Galactic Confederation, Chen began, her voice steady and authoritative. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. We come with urgent warnings and an offer of assistance. Zaxlor's tendrils twitched with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Earth. We have no record of your world or your species in our databases. Explain your presence here immediately. Chen's expression remained neutral. Our absence from your records is by design. Supreme Commander, we have been in hibernation for millennia, awaiting the need to defend this galaxy from a threat you cannot comprehend. Threats? Zaxlor scoffed. The Galactic Confederation has brought peace and prosperity to countless worlds. We face no threats that our combined might cannot handle. Chen's eyes hardened. You're wrong, Commander. Your experiments with quantum entanglement and your attempts to push the boundaries of faster-than-light travel are dangerously close to awakening an enemy that nearly wiped out our civilization eons ago. We call them the Swarm. A murmur ran through both bridges as this information sank in. Zaxlor's expression shifted from skepticism to concern. What evidence do you have of this threat? And why should we trust the words of an unknown species that appears with a war fleet at our doorstep? A fair question, Chen conceded. We're prepared to share our data on the Swarm threat. But first, we must insist that you shut down the experiments on your research station. They're like a beacon to the Swarm, drawing them back to this part of the galaxy. Zaxlor's posture stiffened. You appear in our space, make demands, and expect us to comply based on vague warnings. I think not. The Confederation does not bow to threats or intimidation. Chen sighed, having anticipated this response. We're not here to threaten you, Supreme Commander. We're here to protect you, even if you don't understand the danger. HFY, initiate Operation Blackout. Before Zaxlor could respond, the research station went dark. All external communications ceased, and the station's power signature vanished from sensors. What have you done? Zaxlor roared, his composure slipping. "We've temporarily neutralized the station's dangerous experiments," Chen explained calmly. "No harm has come to your people, but we cannot allow those tests to continue. Now, shall we discuss this situation like rational beings, or do you intend to escalate this into a conflict neither of us wants?" Zaxlor's mind raced. The ease with which these newcomers had disabled one of their most secure facilities was alarming. Yet, if what they said about this swarm was true, "Very well," he said finally. "We will hear you out. But know this, any aggressive action against the Confederation will be met with the full force of our fleet." Chen nodded. "Understood. I propose a face-to-face meeting on neutral ground. There's an uninhabited planet in this system. We can set up a temporary base for negotiations." As the two leaders hashed out the details of their meeting, tension remained high among both fleets. Weapons remained powered down, but every ship was on high alert, ready for action at a moment's notice. Hours later, on the dusty surface of a barren world, two camps had been established. Force fields shimmered around both areas, a mutual sign of distrust. In the no-man's land between them, a single structure had been erected for the negotiations. Admiral Chen strode into the meeting room, flanked by Commander Patel and Lieutenant Tanaka. Across from them, Supreme Commander Zaxlor entered with his advisors, including the reptilian Salik and a hovering, crystalline being that Chen assumed was some kind of scientific expert. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting," Chen began as they all took their seats. "I understand our arrival has caused considerable concern." Zaxlor's four eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Concern is an understatement, Admiral. You've appeared out of nowhere with technology that surpasses our own, made claims of a galaxy-ending threat, and disabled one of our most important research facilities. Forgive us if we're a bit on edge." Chen nodded. "Your caution is understandable. Allow me to explain our situation more fully." She gestured to Commander Patel, who activated a holographic display in the center of the table. Images of Earth and various human colonies appeared, showing a thriving, advanced civilization. Then the images changed, showing scenes of devastation. Planets reduced to lifeless husks, massive swarms of mechanical entities devouring everything in their path. "This is what we faced thousands of years ago," Chen explained, her voice heavy with the weight of history. "The swarm is a self-replicating machine intelligence. They consume all in their path, using the resources to create more of themselves. We fought them for centuries, losing world after world." The Confederation leaders watched in horrified fascination as the tale unfolded. Zaxlor's earlier bravado had faded, replaced by a growing sense of dread. "How did you survive?" Salik asked, his forked tongue flicking nervously. "We didn't, not really," Chen replied. "In the end, we realized we couldn't defeat them conventionally. So we devised a plan. We would go into hiding, erasing all evidence of our civilization from the galaxy. A small portion of our population would enter suspended animation, along with a powerful fleet. We would sleep for millennia, waiting for the swarm to move on to other galaxies. And we would leave behind early warning systems, like the one your people accidentally triggered." The crystalline being chimed in, its voice a melodious series of tones. "Fascinating. But why reveal yourselves now? Why not remain hidden?" Chen's expression grew grim. "Because your experiments are dangerously close to recreating the very thing that attracted the swarm in the first place. The quantum communication technology you're developing. It's similar to what we use to coordinate our fleets. The swarm homed in on those signals across vast distances." Zaxlor leaned back, his mind reeling from the implications. "You're saying that our pursuit of scientific knowledge could doom us all." "Not all scientific pursuits," Chen clarified. "But some technologies are too dangerous to experiment with blindly. We learned that lesson the hard way." A heavy silence fell over the room as the Confederation leaders grappled with this new reality. Their perceived dominance of the galaxy, their technological superiority, all of it had been challenged in the span of a few hours. "What do you propose?" Zaxlor asked finally, his voice subdued. Chen leaned forward, her eyes intense. A partnership. We can share our knowledge, help you advance your technology safely. In return, we ask for your help in re-establishing ourselves in this galaxy. Together, we can prepare for the swarm's potential return. Salak hissed softly. And if we refuse? If we decide your story is nothing but a fabrication to manipulate us? Chen's expression hardened. Then we'll be forced to take more direct action to neutralize the threat your experiments pose. We don't want conflict, but we will do whatever is necessary to protect this galaxy. It's why we exist. The tension in the room ratcheted up several notches. Zaxlor's advisors began whispering urgently among themselves. The Supreme Commander held up a hand for silence, his gaze fixed on Chen. You must understand our position, Admiral, he said slowly. You're asking us to accept a massive shift in our understanding of the galaxy, to trust a species we've only just met, and to potentially upend centuries of scientific progress. It's not a decision we can make lightly. Chen nodded. I understand, Supreme Commander, but time is not on our side. Every moment your experiments continue is another moment we risk attracting the swarm's attention. Zaxlor was silent for a long moment, weighing his options. Finally, he spoke. We will need time to verify your claims and discuss this among our full council. But, as a show of good faith, we will suspend the experiments at the research station for now. It wasn't everything Chen had hoped for, but it was a start. Thank you, Supreme Commander. We appreciate your willingness to listen. We'll provide you with all the data we have on the swarm threat. I hope it will help inform your decision. As the meeting adjourned, both sides retreated to their respective camps. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, dependent on the decisions that would be made in the coming days. Back on the Eternal Vigilance, Chen stood before her crew. We've made first contact and opened a dialogue. It's more than we could have hoped for, but our mission is far from over. Stay alert and be prepared for anything. The real challenge is just beginning. As the human fleet maintained its vigilant watch and the Confederation grappled with their new reality, the stars continued their eternal dance, unaware of the monumental shifts taking place in the galaxy they illuminated. Copy or actually preceded. The Battle of Orion's Arm. The uneasy peace between the human fleet and the Galactic Confederation forces stretched into its third day. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, Admiral Sarah Chen paced restlessly, her eyes darting between the tactical displays and the main view screen showing the vast expanse of space around them. "Aria," she called out, "any updates from the Confederation Council?" The AI's holographic avatar shimmered into view. "Negative, Admiral. The Council remains in closed session. However, I've detected increased activity among the Confederation fleet. They appear to be maneuvering into a more aggressive stance." Chen's jaw tightened. She'd hoped for a peaceful resolution, but she'd also prepared for the alternative. Bring the fleet to combat readiness. Shields up, but weapons remain powered down. Let's not give them any excuse to start shooting. As if on cue, a priority communication came through. Supreme Commander Zaxlor's image appeared on the main screen, his 4 eyes narrowed with barely contained fury. "Admiral Chen," he began, his voice cold, "the Council has reviewed your so-called evidence. We find it unconvincing and your story highly suspect. We believe this is nothing more than an elaborate ruse to subjugate our people." Chen's heart sank, but she kept her expression neutral. "Supreme Commander, I assure you." Zaxlor cut her off. "We are not interested in your assurances. You will power down your ships and surrender immediately, or we will open fire. You have 1 standard hour to comply." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Commander Patil was the first to speak. "They're making a terrible mistake." Chen nodded grimly. "Yes, but it's one we have to deal with. We can't afford a prolonged conflict, not when the real enemy could return at any moment." She turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Tanaka, what are we dealing with? Tanaka's fingers flew over her console. The Confederation fleet outnumbers us 3-1. Admiral, but our technology is superior. Their weapons will have difficulty penetrating our shields, and our targeting systems are more advanced. Options? Chen asked, her mind already racing through potential strategies. We could make a strategic retreat, Paddle suggested. Find a defensible position and try to negotiate again from a position of strength. Chen shook her head. No, we can't leave that research station operational. It's too big a risk. She was quiet for a moment. Then her eyes lit up with determination. We're going to end this quickly and decisively. Araya, initiate Protocol Omega. The AI's avatar flickered with surprise. Admiral, are you certain? Protocol Omega has never been tested in actual combat. There's a first time for everything, Chen replied. Send the orders to the fleet. All ships to assume Tesseract formation. We strike the moment their ultimatum expires. As the human ships began to move into position, the Confederation fleet watched with growing unease. On the bridge of the Galactic Unity, Supreme Commander Zaxlor observed the strange maneuvers with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. What are they doing? He muttered, more to himself than to his crew. Sasalik, his tactical officer, hissed softly. Unknown, Supreme Commander. Their formation doesn't match any known combat strategy in our database. Zaxlor's tendrils twitched nervously. No matter. They're outnumbered and outgunned. Once the ultimatum expires, we'll show them the true might of the Confederation. The next 58 minutes passed in tense silence. Then, with just 2 minutes remaining on the ultimatum, alarms blared across the Confederation fleet. Supreme Commander. Salik cried out, his scales paling. Massive energy spike detected from the human fleet. Before Zaxlor could respond, space itself seemed to twist and warp around the human ships. In a blinding flash of light, they vanished. Where did they go? Zaxlor demanded, his 4 arms gesticulating wildly. Find them. But it was already too late. The human fleet reappeared instantaneously, their ships now interspersed throughout the Confederation formation. The Eternal Vigilance itself materialized directly in front of the Galactic Unity, its weapons ports glowing with barely contained energy. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across every Confederation communication channel. This is your only warning. Stand down, or we will be forced to disable your ships. Panic erupted across the Confederation fleet. Some captains, acting on instinct and fear, opened fire. Their weapons splashed harmlessly against the advanced shields of the human vessels. Chen's voice was heavy with regret as she gave the order. All ships, execute precision strikes. Disable their weapons and engines. Minimal casualties. What followed was less a battle and more a surgical operation. Human ships blinked in and out of existence, appearing at point-blank range to fire pinpoint-accurate shots before disappearing again. Confederation ships found their weapons disabled, their engines sputtering out, leaving them adrift and helpless. On the Galactic Unity, Zaxlor watched in horror as his fleet was systematically neutralized. How is this possible? He whispered, his earlier bravado evaporating. The ship shuddered as a precise hit from the Eternal Vigilance took out its main power core. Emergency lights flickered on as system after system went dark. Supreme Commander, Salik reported, his voice trembling. We've lost weapons, shields, and engines. 70% of the fleet is reporting similar status. The rest are. They're surrendering. Zaxlor slumped in his command chair, the full weight of his miscalculation crashing down upon him. Open a channel to Admiral Chen, he said quietly. Tell her we yield. Within minutes, the battle, if it could even be called that, was over. Not a single Confederation ship had been destroyed, but their entire fleet had been rendered combat ineffective. The human ships resumed their earlier formation, their weapons powered down but their message clear. They could have annihilated the Confederation forces if they had chosen to. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, her expression a mix of relief and sorrow. They had achieved their objective with minimal loss of life, but the cost in trust and potential cooperation was immeasurable. "Aye," she called out, "status report." The AI's voice was solemn. "All Confederation ships have been neutralized or have surrendered, Admiral. Our fleet reports minimal damage. No casualties on either side." Chen nodded. "Open a channel to Supreme Commander Zaxlor." The alien leader's image appeared on the screen, his usual regal bearing replaced by a look of utter defeat. "Admiral Chen," he began, his voice hoarse, "you have bested us completely. What are your terms?" Chen's voice was firm but not unkind. "The same as they were before, Supreme Commander. We want cooperation, not conquest. Your research station will be dismantled, and we'll work together to develop safe alternatives. In exchange, we'll share our defensive technology to help protect against the swarm." Zaxlor was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, there was a newfound respect in his voice. "You could have destroyed us, yet you chose restraint. Perhaps we were too hasty in dismissing your warnings." "It's not too late to change course," Chen replied. "The threat we face is bigger than any one species or civilization. We need to stand united." As the two leaders began to hash out the details of their new arrangement, the mood on both fleets began to shift. Among the Confederation ships, initial fear and resentment gave way to a grudging admiration for the humans' advanced technology and tactical prowess. On the human vessels, there was relief that bloodshed had been largely avoided, mixed with anticipation for the challenges that lay ahead. Commander Patel approached Chen as she concluded her conversation with Zaxlor. "A remarkable victory, Admiral. But I can't help wondering, will they ever truly trust us after this?" Chen sighed, her eyes on the starfield beyond the viewscreen. "Trust takes time, Raj. We've given them reason to fear us, yes, but we've also shown them that we're not conquerors. We could have destroyed them, but we chose a better path." She turned to face her XO, determination etched on her features. "Our real work begins now. We have to convince them of the swarm threat, integrate our civilizations, and prepare for a war unlike anything this galaxy has ever seen. It won't be easy, but it's necessary." Patel nodded, squaring his shoulders. "Where do we start?" A small smile tugged at Chen's lips. "We start by extending a hand in friendship. Prepare a delegation. We're going to help the Confederation rebuild their ships, and in the process, we'll show them exactly what we're up against." As the human fleet began the process of assisting their former adversaries, a new chapter in galactic history was being written. The Confederation's certainty in their own superiority had been shaken, and humanity had announced its return to the cosmic stage in dramatic fashion. But even as the immediate crisis passed, Admiral Sarah Chen couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Somewhere out in the vast darkness of space, an implacable enemy was stirring. The swarm was coming, and when it arrived, the galaxy would need every ounce of human ingenuity and alien diversity to survive. The Battle of Orion's Arm was over. The war for the galaxy's survival was about to begin. Aftermath and revelation. In the weeks following the Battle of Orion's Arm, the landscape of galactic politics underwent a seismic shift. The Eternal Vigilance, once a symbol of human isolation and dormant power, now orbited the Confederation capital world of Harmonix Prime. Its presence was a constant reminder of the new reality that all species of the galaxy now faced. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the full Galactic Confederation Council, her posture straight and her gaze unwavering. The chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, with sweeping arches that seemed to defy gravity and walls that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns. Representatives from 1,000 worlds watched her with a mixture of awe, fear, and curiosity. "Distinguished members of the Council," Chen began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. "I stand before you not as a conqueror, but as a partner in the face of an existential threat. The events of recent weeks have been traumatic for all involved, but they pale in comparison to what awaits us if we do not unite." She gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the chamber. It showed the swarm in all its terrifying glory, countless machine entities moving as one, consuming entire worlds in their relentless expansion. "This is the enemy we face," Chen continued. "The swarm doesn't negotiate. It doesn't show mercy. It consumes, adapts, and grows. And it is coming." A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Supreme Commander Zaxlor, now acting as the liaison between the Confederation and the humans, stepped forward. "Admiral Chen speaks the truth," he said, his 4 eyes scanning the chamber. "We have verified their data. The threat is real, and it is greater than anything our civilization has ever faced." Chen nodded gratefully to Zaxlor before continuing. "But there is hope. Together, combining human determination with the diverse brilliance of the Confederation, we can prepare, we can fight, we can win." Over the next several hours, Chen laid out a comprehensive plan for galactic defense. It involved sharing human technology, adapting Confederation research to safer parameters, and creating a unified defense fleet that incorporated the strengths of all species. As the Council debated and questioned, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. How many times had humanity faced extinction, only to claw its way back from the brink? Now, they were tasking themselves with saving not just their own species, but all sentient life in the galaxy. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of deliberation, the Council reached a decision. The leader of the Council, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, floated forward. "Admiral Chen," it began, its voice a harmonic resonance that touched the minds of all present, "the Galactic Confederation hereby accepts your proposal for alliance. We will face this threat together, as united peoples of the galaxy." A cheer went up from the assembled representatives. Chen allowed herself a small smile. It was a start, but the real work was just beginning. In the months that followed, the galaxy saw a flurry of activity unlike anything in recorded history. Human engineers worked alongside alien scientists, sharing knowledge and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The research station that had initially caused so much strife was repurposed, becoming a hub for the development of new defensive technologies. On a space station orbiting a neutron star, Commander Raj Patil oversaw the construction of the first joint Human Confederation warship. Its sleek lines incorporated the best of human design philosophy, while its interior systems showcased the incredible diversity of alien technology. "Remarkable, isn't it?" Patil mused to Shalik, who had become an unlikely friend and ally in the wake of the battle. "A few months ago, we were on opposite sides. Now we're building the future together." The reptilian alien's tongue flicked out in what Patel had come to recognize as a sign of agreement. "Indeed, your people's adaptability continues to astonish us. But tell me how you maintain hope in the face of such overwhelming odds." Patel chuckled. "It's what humans do best, my friend. When our backs are against the wall, that's when we shine the brightest." Back on the eternal vigilance, Admiral Chen pored over reports from across the galaxy. Aria's holographic avatar stood beside her, providing analysis and updates. The Confederation's quantum communication network has been successfully reconfigured. Admiral Aria reported. "It now operates on frequencies that shouldn't attract the swarm's attention. Additionally, our long-range sensors have been integrated with theirs, expanding our early warning capabilities by 300%. Chen nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. "Excellent. And what about Project Phoenix?" Aria's avatar flickered slightly, a sign of the immense calculations it was performing. "Project Phoenix is proceeding ahead of schedule. The first batch of human colonists will be ready to awaken within the month. Confederation scientists are eager to assist in the restoration of Earth and the other human worlds." Chen leaned back in her chair, allowing herself a moment of reflection. The decision to awaken the rest of humanity from their millennia-long slumber had been a difficult one, but a necessary step. Their people deserved to see the new galaxy they were fighting to protect. A priority communication alert interrupted her thoughts. Admiral, Araya announced, "We're receiving a transmission from Outpost Epsilon. They've detected something at the edge of their sensor range." Chen's body tensed, years of training kicking in instantly. "Put it through." The grizzled face of Captain Elena Rodriguez appeared on the screen. "Admiral, we've got something big out here. Multiple signatures, moving in formation. They don't match any known Confederation patterns." Chen's heart raced. Could it be the swarm? Rodriguez shook her head. "Negative, ma'am. These are, well, they look like they could be ours. Old Earth ships, but massive, like nothing I've ever seen before." For a moment, Chen was speechless. Could it be? After all this time, she composed herself quickly. "Captain, maintain your position, but do not engage. I'm on my way with the fleet." Chen out. As the transmission ended, Chen turned to Araya. "Notify Zaxlor and the Council. We may have just discovered something that changes everything." Within hours, a joint human Confederation fleet had assembled near Outpost Epsilon. The Eternal Vigilance took point, with Chen standing resolute on the bridge. As they approached the coordinates provided by Rodriguez, the sensors lit up. "By the gods," Zaxlor breathed, standing beside Chen. "What are they?" Emerging from the darkness of space were ships of impossible size. Their designs were clearly human in origin, but they dwarfed even the largest Confederation dreadnoughts. As they drew closer, ancient markings became visible on their hulls. "Human Sea Infinity, Piedalair of Ogtuvmni, Spirit of Fire." Chen's eyes widened in recognition. "They're real," she whispered. "The lost fleets. They're real." Araya's voice cut through the awe on the bridge. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship." "Put it through," Chen ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. A face appeared on the screen, weathered by time and hardship, but unmistakably human. The man wore a uniform that belonged to a bygone era, adorned with insignias that had passed into legend. "This is Fleet Admiral Thomas Lasky of the United Nations Space Command," the man said, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "We've traveled a long way, through time and space, to find our people. Are we too late?" Chen stepped forward, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. "Fleet Admiral Lasky, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. You're not too late. You're right on time." As the two fleets began the delicate dance of reunification, Chen couldn't help but feel a surge of hope. The lost fleets of humanity, thought to be nothing more than myth and legend, had returned. With them came technology and knowledge that could turn the tide against the swarm. In the days that followed, the galaxy witnessed a reunion millennia in the making. The lost fleets brought with them stories of unimaginable journeys through fold space, of battles fought in dimensions beyond comprehension, and of alliances forged with beings so alien they defied description. As human and alien alike worked to integrate this new force into their defensive plans, Admiral Chen found a quiet moment to stand before a viewport, gazing out at the assembled armada. Commander Patel joined her, a look of wonder still on his face. "It's incredible, isn't it? Just when we thought we were alone in facing this threat, the universe gives us a miracle." Chen nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's more than that, Raj. It's a reminder of who we are, of what humanity is capable of when pushed to the brink. We went into hibernation to save ourselves, yes, but these fleets, they went out into the unknown, fighting battles we can barely imagine, all to find a way back to us." She turned to face her XO, determination burning in her eyes. "The swarm is coming, but they have no idea what they're in for. Humanity is awake, the Confederation is united, and now we have the lost fleets. We're not just going to survive this war, Raj, we're going to win it." As if in response to her words, a brilliant light flashed across the viewport. For a moment, Chen thought it was weapons fire, but then she realized. It was a star-going supernova, countless light years away. In that explosive birth and death, she saw a metaphor for their current situation. The old galaxy, the old way of doing things, was dying. But from its death, something new and powerful was being born. The battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin. But for the first time since awakening in this new era, Admiral Sarah Chen felt certain of one thing. They were ready. As the combined fleets of humanity and the Confederation prepared for the greatest war the galaxy had ever seen, a new chapter in cosmic history was being written. The legend of the sleeping giants, the humans who had hidden themselves away only to return in the hour of greatest need, would be told for generations to come. The swarm was coming, but humanity, in all its tenacious, adaptable, indomitable glory, was waiting. And they were not alone. The stars themselves seemed to burn brighter that day, as if in anticipation of the epic struggle to come. In the vast tapestry of the cosmos, a new pattern was emerging, one of unity, of hope, and of a future where the light of civilization would not be extinguished, but would burn brighter than ever before.